The first major addition the Red Sox made this offseason is officially here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and I'm sure you've heard by now, but the Boston Red Sox have made a trade. Now, if you're looking for sort of immediate reactions, angry, happy type stuff, I did go live right when this trade broke, and we kind of sat here and reacted to news as it went on together. So if you want to take a look at that, that is in the description of this video, or you can just head over to my channel. It's right there as well. But instead, what we're going to be doing in today's video is we're going to be really breaking this down, looking at the statistics, looking at the positives, looking at the negatives, to ultimately come to some sort of conclusion here. And I suppose I should actually start with the trade itself, huh? Earlier today, the Boston Red Sox acquired Sonny Gray, a starting pitcher, and cash, which is super important here, from the Cardinals for Brandon Clark and Richard Fitts. And I think the best place to start when trying to truly break this trade down from sort of the bare bones up is to start with Sonny Gray himself. I think the biggest thing that we need to remember when taking a look at the impact that Sonny Gray could have with this Red Sox team is to start with the money that's actually attached to him. Because if you're a big baseball fan, you probably know that Sonny Gray is a bit of an overpaid pitcher, right? He was making a whole lot of money with the St. Louis Cardinals. He's not, or I should say he is going to be making that, but he's not going to be getting paid the same amount by the Boston Red Sox. Let me explain a little bit. The Cardinals are paying $20 million of the deal that Sonny Gray is coming over with. That's a big chunk of cash from the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a big reason why the Red Sox had to give up the prospects, and we'll talk about that in a minute. On top of that, when Gray was traded over here, his contract was reworked. It's not the total deal over the next, 3 years he had before he came over here. Instead, it became a 1-year, $31 million deal with a $10 million mutual option at the end of it, which isn't going to get picked up. They never do get picked up. Essentially, it is a 1-year, $41 million contract. Again, the Red Sox are only paying half of that. They're paying $21 million, which is a little bit less than what you would have offered, let's say, a Lucas Giolito for a qualifying offer. So I think that's really important to remember as we talk about what kind of impact Sonny Gray could have and why the Red Sox made this deal. Now, what are you actually getting here with Sonny Gray? You're getting a pretty solid pitcher, right? At least according to what he's done at the major league level in his career. Overall, it is a 3.58 ERA with a 3.51 FIP and a 1.197 whip for a 1.17 ERA plus. His last season, 2025, wasn't exactly fantastic. It's 4.28 ERA, but he did have a much lower 3.39 FIP, which is very much in line with how he's pitched throughout the rest of his career. With a 1.234 whip, I just had to include that in there. You never see that sort of sequential numbers like that. For a 96 ERA plus, about 4% below the league average production. However, the 3 seasons before that, he had a combined 3.28 ERA with a 3.08 FIP and a 1.28 ERA plus. That's legit stuff, especially in the later half of your career. However, the real highlight with Sonny Gray recently has been his ability to post. Over 160 innings in the last 3 seasons in this day and age. I say that like I'm not 100 years old or something, is a legitimate workhorse status type thing. To me, what this screams is the Red Sox trying to improve the back end of this rotation. I understand that's not what the Red Sox said they were going to do this offseason. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you think about it, between Walker Buehler, Dustin May, and Richard Fitts, the Red Sox had like a almost 6, if not over 6 ERA, and I feel bad lumping Richard Fitts into that, but those two starters really were a big hindrance on this rotation. You replace their production with a guy who is throwing to, let's say, a 4.28 ERA. How much better are the Red Sox in 2025? How much more prepared are the Red Sox for a postseason? I personally think, and this isn't just sort of me being like, oh, Red Sox homer, oh, me trying to cope for this trade to work. If you had Walker Buehler throwing 32 starts and a 4.28 ERA, you're probably contending for the division. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. You weren't crazy far off of it this season, right? So I think that's the Red Sox, sort of goal in mind here. So you take a look at it overall in the perspective that this is not a number 2 starter, with the perspective that you're not paying him $41 million, and you can kind of understand why the Red Sox wanted to bring this guy in. But that doesn't mean there aren't any risks either. In my opinion, there are 3 or 4 pretty big risks with Sonny Gray. The first one, and let's face it, The obvious one is that Sonny Gray is old. Hopefully not by life standards, but by baseball standards, right? Next season will be his age 35 season, which is why, despite the overabundance of recent success and the fact that his whip was much lower than his ERA in 2025, that season concerns a lot of people, right? Is that sort of the conversation we have a lot with these starting pitchers, especially as they get towards their age 40 season, is, you start to see this really sharp decline. Was this last season sort of a season where Sonny Gray was pitching for a mediocre team with a lot of guys who probably weren't trying their hardest because they understand that this team wasn't going anywhere, and going forward, he'll be able to get back to what he was in 22 to 24? Or is this Sonny Gray indicating that he is about to take a steep drop off and really sort of nosedive the rest of his career? It's a genuinely interesting question to talk about. Now, the second thing here that comes with a bit of risk with Sonny Gray, I'm not going to include injuries in this, by the way. Every starting pitcher in Major League Baseball has an injury history now. It's just how the game works. But the second thing is that Sonny Gray's actually pitched in the AL East before, and to a lot of people, it didn't go super well. Statistically, when he pitched for the New York Yankees, the one full season that he had the second highest ERA of his career, a 4.90 ERA total with a 4.17 FIP and a 1.496 WHIP. That is a whole lot of traffic. The question is that just a down year, or can he not handle a bigger market, right? The Red Sox are a pretty big market. The Red Sox are a pretty harsh market. If Sonny Gray isn't built to deal with New York, is he built to deal with the New York Yankees? Or was this just simply a bad season for Sonny Gray? You could point to the fact that after he was traded from the Athletics to the Yankees and had a sub-4 ERA in 11 games, then that maybe it was just a bad year. But this is something we are going to have to wait and see about. And the third thing here is that Sonny Gray is not a great pitcher at Fenway Park historically. Over his career, actually, it is the second worst ERA that he has ever pitched in, according to Ballparks. It is a +6 ERA, and that is absolutely concerning, considering he's projected to make, 15 starts in Fenway Park this year, right? In my opinion, this is far from a sure thing on either side of the coin here. It's far from a slam dunk by the Red Sox, but it's also far from an absolute failure by the Red Sox. However, we also got to talk about what the Cardinals are getting and who the Red Sox gave up. So again, the Red Sox did give up Richard Fitts and Brandon Clark to make this deal happen. Fitts sucks to lose, more so in a way that he was an awesome human being, always gave me the time to interview him, great guy, ton of fun, super funny, was a great personality in the dugout, but in the sense of actual player, I don't think the Red Sox are really going to be kicking themselves for trading this guy. And that's not because I don't think he's a talented player. It's because last season you saw the emergence of Hunter Dobbins. You saw the emergence of Conley Early. You saw Peyton Tolley and what he could be in short glimpses. Kyle Harrison got some starts at the Major League level. This offseason, you re-signed Cooper Quiswell. You had so many options in the back half of this rotation to be either that 6 starter, that 4 starter, whatever it may end up being. Richard Fitts just kind of became expendable, right? He kept getting bumped down that list until he got to a point where you're like, yeah, I don't know that I'm going to miss Richard Fitts all that much besides his dugout celebrations and how cool of a person he actually was. And again, that has nothing to do with his talent, just simply who's above him in the pecking order. In my opinion, the clearly bigger loss for the Red Sox organizationally is the trade of Brandon Clark. He was the number 5 prospect in the system, according to MLB.com. He is the number 8 prospect in the more reliable SoxProspects.com, a big body lefty that can huck it, sitting in the upper 90s. He was on baseball's top 100 prospect list for a bit this season. It does kind of suck to see this guy go. And I think this is where you can have the conversation of whether or not the Red Sox overpaid to make this happen. In my opinion, the answer is yeah, the Red Sox did overpay, but you see a lot of teams who are trying to win right now overpay for all their deals just to make sure they happen. And we'll talk about that maybe in a second here. But then my question becomes, how much are the Red Sox really going to miss Brandon Clark? Outside of you probably could have maybe somehow gotten something a little bit younger, maybe not better, but younger than Sonny Gray for Brandon Clark. But even if he does end up being an impact piece for the Cardinals down the road, I don't know if the Red Sox should be kicking themselves all that much. And again, it goes back to that conversation of the Red Sox building up this pitching pipeline, right? You've got Early, you've got Tolley, you've got Witherspoon, you've got Pareles, you've got Juan Valera, and those are just prospects, right? What about at the major league level? You've got legitimate names who can impact this rotation. This has become a bit of a different like last year, it was like, if the Red Sox trade a pitching prospect, they're dumb. right? The whole goal was to build this up. This year, this offseason, you're sitting there saying they may have to only trade pitching prospects because you sit there and you say, where was Brandon Clark going to fit into this rotation, let's say in 2029? Yes, statistically, not all of these guys are going to work out, but at the same time, too, statistically, a few of them are. Is Brandon Clark going to be one of those guys that works out, or did the Red Sox make the right move here? That is a total wait and see, in my opinion. But obviously, again, if you're talking about whether or not the Red Sox overpaid for this, I think the answer is yes. Overall, you want my opinion on this deal after doing the full breakdown? I'm still dead in the middle. Right, I'm not sitting here praising Craig Breslow for making this move, but I'm also not sitting here absolutely destroying Craig Breslow for making this move either. And I'll tell you exactly why I think that. Because, again, you go back to what Sonny Gray is projected to be and what the Red Sox are paying for him. You essentially replace Lucas Giolito for less money than what you would have paid Lucas Giolito, right? And I think that could end up being a really smart move by the Boston Red Sox. Now, there's a huge caveat to this. My opinion on this trade fully is determined by what the Red Sox do next. Right? This was just the first move. You're playing a game of chess, you're playing a game of checkers. The first move usually isn't to win the whole ball game, right? It's just to simply get the game going. Hopefully, that's what this is here with Sonny Gray, right? If the Red Sox come out of this offseason and Sonny Gray is your number 5 pitcher, you go and you get a free agent starter, you trade for another bigger named, more reliable, younger to sit behind Garrett Crochet, I think you can call this trade a potential success. You come out of this offseason and Sonny Gray is the only starting pitching acquisition you've made this offseason. That is an absolute and utter failure. That is a total, complete waste of a trade by Craig Breslow, and I promise you, I will go as scorched earth as I've ever gone on this Red Sox team, outside of my immediate reaction to Rafael Devers, if that is the case. But for right now, we don't know, right? People are going to make assumptions that this is the only move, or people are going to make assumptions that this isn't the only move. But until that actually happens, until the offseason plays out, this trade to me is directly neutral. There's no real opinion to have on it outside of maybe the Red Sox overpaid for him, and I think that's it, right? So until something else happens or doesn't happen, I'm somewhere in the middle, and I'm sure you guys aren't overreacting at all one way or the other. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? I fully broke down this trade for you. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you somewhere in the middle like me? Let me know all your thoughts. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps out a ton. Best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.